awesome developer and a coach at Django Girls and Women Who Code, but also our dear colleague at Sauce Lab. So welcome, Ely, and we are super excited and happy to have you here. Today, Ely is going to, thank you. Today, Ely is going to take us to the journey of automated testing and tell us how to level up the developer experience using tests. So don't forget to stay muted and write your questions in the chat box during the presentation. And for those who have missed the previous meetup or just the information on the SauceCon, we are really excited that in 2 weeks we are going to have our free online conference. So join us. I will send the link in the chat box as well. So yeah, welcome to the meetup. And with that, I'm gonna hand it over to Ely.
Yay, thank you so much. So hi everyone. I am going to be stopping my video to avoid any lag because I'm also gonna be sharing some slides, but I'm gonna be here. And let me try to share my screen. Oh, wait. Cool. So you can see the presentation, all right? Yeah, awesome, cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I wanna thank also Diego Molina and Paulina Efimova for inviting me to speak at the Continuous Testing Meetup about one of my favorite topics. I am Ely. I'm a software engineer here at Sauce Labs, and I work on the Real Device Cloud team. I love Star Wars. I can be found online as me and Soros, or at Women Who Code, Women Tech Makers, and Python meetups. So I have worked at companies for 6 months and also for as long as 6 years. I have been part of the first developers on a team and witnessed many developers joining and a few leaving that team. I have also been the new developer in teams already established, teams with an existing setup and a culture. During this time, developer experience has become one of my favorite topics. And what is developer experience? So looking around on the internet, I found this definition. I found this definition that I liked, and it's on everydeveloper.com, and it says, good developer experience is like an automatic walkway at the airport. It supercharges your efforts to get you there faster. With a few walkways lined up in a row, you'll be feeling good about your progress. I particularly like the part about supercharging. Whenever I've had a good experience as a developer on a team, it really felt as supercharging when working on features or bugs or fixing bugs. And I also felt good about my progress and like going at a sustainable and a steady pace. There are some factors that to me define good developer experience. So first, it could be the ease to develop something and deliver it from dev to production. Then the ease to introduce new changes. The ease to test a feature or a fix, which I think is connected to the first point, because since we are delivering something live and in production to our customers, it also should involve testing. The ease to debug code and understand it and test it. The ease of contributions from new joiners to go live. And finally, something that I think also defines developer experience is the incident response. This goes from how quickly we get alerts on an incident happening in production until the incident is fixed, and how easy, complicated it is to fix an issue happening in production and affecting customers. I've also seen that developer experience, particularly a bad one, can be expensive during the first weeks and months of new developers joining a team, so during onboarding. And it is paid with interest every time changes need to be introduced into a system. For example, when as developers, we want to start making bigger changes to the system and solve more complex problems, like changes to the architecture, for example. Also, it's not uncommon to see that the longer we spend on a team, the more is expected from us. And also we expect more from ourselves. Another topic I'm interested in is testing, particularly test-driven development. I believe in the idea that it is about the what, about defining and expressing a desire or a problem before we get to the how. It is about finding the right problem to solve. I have learned that many bugs come from not understanding and getting clarity on what needs to be built, and that rework needed to be done when I did not focus on the right problem to solve, and rather jump directly to implementing a solution. During my first months at Sauce Labs, my colleagues and I were working on a refactor that was needed to be able to continuously deploy one of our services. I was very excited about it, so excited that I did not take the time to understand better the effects that the refactor could have in a production environment and on the features that our customers heavily rely on. It really hurt. It pricked my ego, the way a cactus does when one is not careful enough. I also learned a lot from it. For instance, that I did not take the time to understand the business well, the product that we were building, the components of our system, and the main features that our customers relied on before and while embarking on this mission. I was missing the full picture. I was focusing too much on the goal and not on the journey. After moving on past the pain, I thought I did the best I could with the knowledge I had at the time, and then reflected about the things that could be done better next time. I asked myself, could the experience and the learnings from the journey support the idea of the relevance of developer experience? Then, one good day, while talking to my colleague, Diego Molina, he shared with me a project called Selenium Base. He quickly described the project, and it caught my attention when he mentioned onboarding experience of developers in their new teams, as well as customers when they're getting to know our product. It would be awesome to have a visual way to understand a system and its parts. And if this knowledge was alive as code, it would be great. It could be executed by anyone in the team in a repeatable way. Tests are really alive. Tests are living documentation. So I went into the Selenium-based website to learn more about it, and this is what I found. Selenium-based is an all-in-one framework for web automation, end-to-end testing, and website tours. Selenium-based uses PyTest for running Python scripts while using Selenium WebDriver for controlling web browsers. It multiplies the ability of both PyTest and Selenium WebDriver. I also checked the Selenium-based repository on GitHub and found that it has 1,500 stars and that it is used by other 40 public repositories on GitHub. It looks active, it has commits in the last couple of days and a good documentation. So I thought, okay, this could work. We could write a demo of an app using Selenium-based. But I wanted to start with a proof of concept. And for that, I needed a small app that I could write a demo for using Selenium-based. So I picked the Django Girls Club. For a bit of background, the Django Girls community is very close to my heart. Being a coach at Django Girls is how I started to learn Django and the reason that I started to learn Python and got involved into the Python community. The Django Girls tutorial was my first intro into the Django world, and it's one of the most beginner-friendly tutorials that I know about. The Django Girls blog is the blog that attendees build during a Django Girls workshop. It is the result of a one-day journey under the hood of web technologies, where attendees build a blog using Python and Django from the ground up until it's running on the cloud and it looks more or less like this. We can see a list of posts and options to add posts and to edit them. Before my first time being a Django Girls coach, I followed the tutorial and built a blog myself. Then, with time, this project also became my sandbox to practice Python, test it, and to experiment on ideas and workflows such as continuous integration and continuous delivery, which in my experience are practices that significantly improve the developer experience as well. So that's what we're gonna do next. We're going to write a demo using Selenium base to better understand the features in the Django Girls blog in the same way an end user would. In this case, the author of the blog. So first, let's take a look at the blog I built at the time following the tutorial and the one that we will use for a test. So here we can see the blog that we have. We can click on the comment link, and then we can add a comment. We see the form, then we can go back to the blog, and then we see a couple of buttons here to approve or remove comments, and then we can go back to the home page. It's a simple blog, but I think it serves our purposes. So there are a few things here, and I think it would be helpful to first write out in plain English the features that are available on the blog, remembering to keep an end user perspective, so as the author of the blog. So let's do that. So as the author of the blog, these are the features that I want on my blog and I want to learn to use. I want to add a post. I want to publish a post. I want to add a comment to a post. I want to approve a comment, and I want to delete a post. Awesome. Let's start with adding a post. To add a post, these are the steps that I need to follow. I need to find an add button and click on it. I need to choose a title for my blog and fill it out in the title input. I need to write the content of the post in the text input. And then I need to find the save button and click on it. Okay, it sounds like I have a post, but now what do I need to do if I want to publish it? Okay, to publish a post, I need to find the post to publish and open it by clicking on its title. And then I need to find the publish button and click on it. And so on and so forth for adding a comment to a post, approve a comment, and delete a post. Awesome. So now that we know what we want, we can see how we can achieve that and use Selenium base to write our demo. So next we go to the Selenium base documentation and examples to figure out how to write tests and demos with it. We see a nice demo at the top. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna be using Python, so I assume that I need to install Selenium base. And for that, yeah, I'm gonna be using pip. Cool, the pip install Selenium base. Now I need something to control my browser. So I need a web driver. I'm gonna use Firefox. So I'm gonna go with Gecko driver. Next, now that I have that, okay, I need to learn how to run the tests. So, we're using PyTest, good. And I need the name of the file. I need to choose the browser. I can pass it as parameter, great. Oh, here is an example. Okay, cool. Now what happens if I open it? Awesome. So I see a full example written. I see a base class that I need there. I see some functions. Okay, good examples. And then, I have a list of all the functions that I can use. Cool. There are as well down there some things to learn more. Okay. I think we have what we need to write our demo. Great. So let's write our demo. But First, what about taking a different perspective? And before we see the code, let's see the result. That is, how do we run the demo and how does it look like? So here we have the demo running on a developer machine. And here we have a small script that I wrote where I put the command to run PyTest. So we have PyTest, the name of the file, great. And then I'm using the browser parameter. And then I have this parameter called start page, which would be the first page that Selenium base will open. Awesome. So then I can run demo sh, and then that would open my browser. That would maximize the page. Cool. And then I start going through the different steps on the blog, and that would be first logging in. Then I'm gonna add a post. Awesome. And then I'm going to publish it, and then I'm gonna start adding comments. See this beautiful highlighting of the elements. This is what Selenium base is doing. So it's highlighting every single one of the steps that I'm going through to show the functionality on the blog by using the web UI elements that I have and highlighting each of them. So at the end, I'm gonna remove my post, and then I'm gonna log out. Cool. So this works. We have a demo that is running and a browser that was sped up. At the end, we see that in less than 50 seconds, we got an overview of the main features of the blog. And a bit of the magic here is that this can be run in a repeatable and automated way from anywhere. So let's see the code. So here we have the class for the demo, and I'm using the base case class that Selenium base provides, and as it was shown in the documentation. Amazing. Then I'm opening my start page. That's the one that I pass as parameter. And then I'm using this maximize window that is also provided by Selenium base. Then I'm going to my home page. I'm opening the admin, and then I'm logging in with a username and a password. And then I'm going to the home page, which would be this view site link. And then I am going to add a post. So I'm going to click on this element with a class Lacticom plus. And then I'm going to save the post. I'm going to publish it. And then I'm going to start adding comments. So I add 3 different comments to the post. And then after that, I'm going to want to remove that post. And then I'm going to click on logout. Cool. So this code works like we saw it working already on the demo, but we may think, this code could be improved. There is some code there that is repeated. It is difficult to map the code to the steps that we initially wrote in plain English. And we also have a mix between the functionality and the steps in the demo and the elements of the UI that we are interacting with to accomplish our goals. It looks like it's time for a bit of refactoring. So there is a design pattern in automated testing called the page object pattern. The goal of this pattern is to abstract away all the necessary web elements of the pages that our test will interact with. The test itself will hold an instance to each of these pages. And surprise, this is the pattern that we're going to use to refactor our test. So for example, if we go back to see our new post page, we can see here the elements of the UI that we were previously seen on the demo. And we have our input for the title, we have our textbooks for the text, and then we have a button to save the post. Cool. So this codified will look like this. We have our new post page class, and we have our elements from our web UI elements at the top. And then we have the 2 functions. That would be the 2 actions that we can perform in this page. So the test, for example, or whoever is client of this page would only need to pass the title and a text, for example, to add a post. And it would simply do publish post to publish the post that is currently on the page. So that means that in our test, instead of having these 5 lines of code where we have our web UI elements in there, we could refactor it and only have this. So we would instantiate our new post page, and then we would call that page, that instance, to say add post, and then we're going to pass our title and the content of our post, and then we simply do publish post. So if we continue refactoring our initial test and create page objects for our homepage, where we see the same idea with the web UI elements and the actions that we can perform on that page, such as adding a new post, viewing a post, or logging out. And then we have our post page, same idea. We have 3 different actions there: new comment, approved comment, and delete a post. And then we have our new comment page where we have only one action, right? Adding a comment. And then we have our web UI element, which would be the button to save a comment. And finally, we have our admin login page where we have mainly one function to log in, where we are passing a username and a password, and all the web UI elements, again, are encapsulated here. So after using our magical page objects, we can now refactor our test, and it will look a little bit like this. I tried to put it on a page only, so the letters may be a bit little. But here we can see at the top, I am instantiating all the page objects that I need. And then I'm going through the different steps. So first, I'm adding a post and I'm publishing. Then I load that post, and then I load the homepage, then I view the post, and then I start adding the 3 comments. But we see that it is clearer, or it is more clear what we are doing and what are the different actions that we want to do and what our goal is, or what we're trying to demonstrate. So also, there is less repeated code, and also a bit of the magic here is that we could reuse these page object patterns for other demos that we can write, and also for end-to-end tests. So in our example, we use Selenium base to document and better understand the application that we are building. In this case, a web application, a blog written in Django, so spinning up a browser was needed. There are other ways in which end-to-end tasks could be used and implemented, keeping a customer perspective and our focus on the way an end user would interact with features in our product. Also with the goal of having a better understanding of a product, the customers, and improving their and our own experience. For example, in the case of Sauce Labs, not all of the features in our product go through a web UI. Our customers use Sauce Labs as a platform to run their automated tests using remote browsers, remote emulators, or simulators, or real remote devices. So we, as developers of Sauce Labs, write 2 automated tests that run on our own platform as a user would do it, using, for example, Appium, WebDriver IO, Espresso, and XUI tests, and running on our real devices. Beyond end-to-end tests, we have also tests that provide a higher granularity and shed light on the technicalities that compose the system, its elements, and how they are interconnected, like integration tests that help us verify the components and services that make up a system, and make sure that they're running in happy orchestration. Or tests that provide faster feedback about the changes we are introducing to the system, like unit tests that are more granular, small, and independent, and help us understand the specific components and their responsibility. I would like to show you a couple of these examples of these tests in the context, again, of the Django Girls blog. So first, let's see our post model code. So here we have our class that has 5 attributes: author, title, text, created text, date, and publish date. It's a very simple model, and it offers 3 three different functions, so three actions that we can do. We can publish it, and then we can approve comments, and then we have a small function that returns if the post is a draft or not. Cool. And then we can see in our test the expectations that we have from this post model. This is a very simple test. It only tells us that a post without a published date is a draft. And then once a post is published, then it is no longer a draft. And then we can also see that the published date, it will be by default, the time now. But then that means that can also be in the future. So I could be publishing a post, for example, in the future. Cool. And then we have our code for the comment model. It's also simple. We have also 5 attributes: post, author, text, create a date, and if it's approved. And then we have a small function. The only action we can perform on this model is approving a comment. So our test would also look simple. So a comment is by default not approved, and a comment needs intentionally to be approved and can be approved. Cool. So in the end, tests complement and balance each other and can be used in different ways. They have a purpose, or many, not only to verify that the code works, but also to document the features that compose our products and how these features work and under which conditions. They can help us catch, reproduce bugs, and regressions. They allow us to refactor in a blitz. They can guide us to build a system with intention, a system that is ever evolving, a system where the only constant is change, a system that is flexible, adaptable, and resilient to change. What is complicated for the development team could also be complicated for the customer. So when we and our teams have a good experience building our product, our customers will also have a great experience using our product and our tools. By improving developer experience, we enable teams to build better products, to stay more in the zone, to create, to do more of what we love. And that's not only playing with our favorite dogs, but solving more and more problems. Developer experience is about teams. It is about the past, about the present, and about the future. May you be the spark that will light the fire, that will level up your and your team's developer experience. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ely. Let's open up for the Q&A.
Yeah.
Okay, we
Cool.
have one question.
Okay.
We want to see you, Ely.
Let me go back to, yes, let me, I'm figuring out how this works. No, I don't want to leave.
Please don't leave the meeting.
It's not the time, Ely.
Awesome, cool. So let's see. Okay, I'm here. You can
Cool.
see me now, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we can. I think I have a question from the top of my head, but if someone, there is actually a question there from George Romanos from Greece. Hi, George. Do you want? Shall I read it for you, Ely? It says.
Yeah, please.
It says, have you seen that this really nice and fancy highlight feature increased the execution time in a test suite? I think he's referring to the highlight of Selenium base.
Oh, yeah, I didn't measure it. To be honest, I was trying out the feature. As you saw, like I'm mostly like a beginner using like this tool, so I didn't take the time to measure it. But I think that would be a good idea. I'm gonna note it down. Cool.
So something that okay. Severin is here. Hey. He's asking, have you introduced testing to the Django Girls as well?
Oh, that is very nice. That's what I want to do on the next workshop. I want to be able to do a talk because one of the coaches gets to do a talk, and I want to do a talk about testing. I haven't done that, so in the repository, like the one I used, there is all my tests. But yeah, that's definitely a very good idea. Thank you. Yes.
Have you also evaluated Robot as a Python UI test framework? A question from Roy.
Hi, Roy.
No, I haven't. Sorry. Yes, like I said in the presentation, I do Python mostly as like my hobby. It brings me a lot of joy. At work, I use other languages. So yeah, like I'm up for any ideas you have on things I should learn. So Robot framework is good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Niels knows a lot about the framework. He has done a presentation in Robot framework. Like, actually, we can send the link in the Slack channel that we have in the past. Another question I had personally was if you felt any resistance on doing this testing, the onboarding experience in the teams you have been.
Yes, I've experienced some resistance, and also it depends. I've seen that it depends a bit on the role that you have, and which is a bit sad. I was a lead developer on a team, the team where I was for more than 6 years. And then it was a bit easier to do these things because it was kind of part of my job that developers were happy with their workflows. And then as a developer, yes, I've experienced a little bit of resistance, but then once you find your allies and people who care about these topics as well, I think it gets a little bit easier. So yeah, it depends as many things.
Okay, thank you. I have felt the same as well. Another question from Stanislav. I'm sorry if I pronounce the name the wrong way. Super newbie question. What sources would you recommend for completely a new person to testing? What should I learn first and how should I proceed?
Oh, okay. So there is this, sorry that I think I put that slide, but let me share it with you. So here, I think you can see it now. So this is a book that I read a couple of months ago. It's called The Way of the Web Tester by Jonathan Rasmussen. It's an amazing book about testing. And it's not only about that, but it's also about programming. Like it's written for everyone who wants to learn programming and everyone who wants to learn testing. So I really recommend that if you're getting started and want to understand more about like concepts like the test pyramid and what are the goals of each of the tests and everything, I really, really recommend this book. And then I also follow Andrew Knight, so Automation Panda, and he has this talk that he did at a Women Who Code meetup, where he talked about unit tests, end-to-end tests, web UI testing. And this talk is also really good. I recommend that you can look for it on the Women Who Code YouTube channel. I was recorded. So these are the two things that I would really recommend if you want to learn more.
Cool. Do you have any questions for the audience, Ely?
Yeah, like I find very interesting the question that you asked me about resistance. So I would like to know if anyone else like is into this topic, and if you also experience some resistance when you're trying to make your workflows better, and if you've seen the effect that it has on your joy and happiness, and also in building better products.
Severin is saying no, he doesn't.
No? Okay.
How about others?
No? Okay.
I cannot see most of you, so you can, even if you say yes or no, we cannot see it. So you have to speak up.
Well, Sarah is saying she has seen resistance. She thinks mostly because people were scared that we would break something. Could be, no?
True. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can
many
at least
myths.
share personally, like in one of my first jobs here in Germany, I saw resistance from some developers about writing unit tests. And that was complicated to make them understand why it's important to spread the coverage. But Severin is asking a question soon, so I will give him the space. You can also mute yourself if you want.
Yeah, we want to hear you.
I didn't want to send the message right away. I just want to make a new line, but I sent it anyways. I have a few colleagues in acquisition, and they're telling me that new customers are now trying to save money since the whole situation is going on. And testing is always one of the first things that kind of gets left behind, or where they ask if this cost point can be reduced. For me, I always give the argument, it's just a matter of when you spend the time. Either you find the bugs first or after you release it. But now the pressure is especially high on reducing cost. Do you have any arguments or anything that can help the customer to see that maybe testing should not be one of the first things that gets cut from the budget? So a general question, not really specific to this talk.
So yeah, like I agree with you, right? It depends on when you want to start verifying, when you want to start finding bugs. I think it's still important, and I think that it actually makes you faster, you know, like it helps you deliver things faster to production. Like I've been in teams where we have continuous deployments, and by investing a little bit of time doing that in the beginning, in the end, we can deliver things super quick to production. Like you do a commit and it's in production, it breaks, and then you quickly roll it back. So it is, it's really, really super dynamic when you have a very good test coverage, but it depends on like what your principles and values are. Yeah. I don't know if someone else has something they want to add.
Well, what arguments are you giving, Severin, in those cases?
Well, I always compare it to brushing your teeth. So you can either do it daily, and it's going to cost you a little bit of your day, and it might be a little bit of extra cost every day, but you're going to save this really expensive and really painful trip to the doctor at the end. So the volume is probably in the end the same, or the cost, but one is annoying and daily, and the other one is just painful. Yeah. And that's what I use most of the time.
That's a very good analogy.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, very nice. All right. Any other questions? Anyone who wants to share something about the topic, or any recommendations, or Ely, also, if you want to share more about Django Girls or what the things you're doing here in Berlin about.
So yeah, like I was just seeing that I've been a Django Girls Coach for 5 years. I started in Mexico, where I'm from, and then when I moved to Germany, that was the first community that I looked for, because I really like the energy there. So I invite you to go to djangogirls.org and like look for the workshops that we will be doing, hopefully at the end of the year. And sign up as a coach if you want to help people learn programming, or go through the tutorial. Like if you want to learn Django and Python, it's an amazing tutorial. And yeah, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about this, giving me the space to talk about my passions.
No, absolutely. I honestly, I don't know how many times I've asked you in the office that to do a talk, and finally this is happening. So I'm very happy that you did it, and I'm super proud of the talk you did. And yeah, thank you very much, and also to Paulina for the organization, everything. So thank you very much. I think if we have no more questions, we're gonna cut it short, and like give everyone else some time to. I guess you have more meetings in the morning. Yeah, so thank you to everyone, especially to Ely, Paulina, and
Thanks,
the ones who have
everyone.
attended. And yeah, like have a nice day.
Have a nice evening
Thanks.
as well.
You
Thank you,
too.
Bye.
everyone.
Have a
See you
nice day.
on
Bye.
the channel. Ciao.
Bye.